And hello, everyone. Welcome to Power Scanning. It is October 25th. It's cold outside, it's chilly. Yet, once again, we're going to be looking out for the best swing trading setups for the week and the week ahead. The weather will not stop us. All right. But before we get into it, let me ask you, where are you guys calling in from? Who do we have in the room today? I myself am calling out from chilly and cold and freezing Montreal, but who else do we have? uh, in the room, please put your location into the Q&A box. Mark from Birmingham, Alabama. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Arthur from Hamburg, super rainy. Yeah, it's this kind of year, huh? This type of year. Aubrey from pleasantly warm Cyprus. All right. Andrea from Hamburg, also Hamburg. I guess it's also raining for you. Hey, Andrea, nice to see you. Were you in the Cap Trader session just before? Kimi from Taunton, UK, United Kingdom. Hey, Teeny. Tien from Garden Grove, California. Maurice from Texas, Dallas, Texas. Hey there. John from sunny Austin. Yeah, good for you guys. Keith from the borders to England in Scotland. Very important. And Stuart from Toronto. Hey, Stuart, are you celebrating the Blue Jays win from yesterday? Bob from Alexandra. Hey, Alex. Hey, Bob, how's it going? Patrick from Chicago. Hey, Patrick. Adele from London. Hey there. Oh, oops. Oops, one second. And Stefan from Hamburg. Hey, Stefan, how's it going? Chris from Tampa, Florida. Hey, Chris. Beach from St. Carlos, Panama. Wow, that's pretty cool. Oh, I think it's the first time somebody from Panama. Florian from Augsburg. Oh, tough game today, huh, Florian? Sorry if you're not sure if you're an Augsburg fan. Stephen from Lincoln, UK, and Ralph from La Holm. Sweden, whatever that is. Yeah. All right, Ralph. Nice to see you. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for sharing your location. Once again, a truly international crowd. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into today's session. So once again, today we are going to look for swing trades, which are trades which typically lasts from like 1 to 20 weeks, give or take. It's not written in stone, but for sure, these are not day trades, which you would open within the day and close them within the day, and also not super long-term investment. So it's right in between these two extremes. The beautiful thing is our dashboard, our Liquidity View dashboard is designed to find you these interesting swing trading opportunities with just a couple of mouse clicks. We call this the 30-minute strategy. Why? Because it's really fast to go through all our 5,500 stocks. It's even a bit more to find the ones, find the gems in the rough, the needle in the haystack, so to say, within those 5,000 stocks, which right now today have interesting setups. And not just today, this is a process that we personally at Trading Indicators, we do it every single day. So whenever the market closes, you can go to the dashboard and find the new stocks which qualify for these interesting setups. All right. So, with this quick introduction, who are we? Well, we are tradingindicators.com. My name is Daniel. I'm the guy here on the left-hand side, and together with Homer, we have created Trading Indicators about 10 years ago. And if you don't know Homer, Homer has been, the mastermind behind the scenes. She's in charge for our user experience, the user journey that somebody takes in, also all our partner collaborations. And also Nicholas is in the room today. He's joined us about 5 years ago, and he has been instrumental behind most of our latest developments in terms of indicators. Talking about indicators, we have built over 1,000 indicators for clients all over the world, in the US, in Canada, where we are headquartered, Germany, UK, South America, Asia, and so forth. So it's really very international, which is awesome. It's very honorable to us to have this kind of reach, or have been able to reach out to clients all over the world. And most of what we do is based on what's called technical analysis, which is basically a pattern or mathematical analysis of your price chart. We believe that fundamentals, they're almost immediately priced in. And by analyzing your price chart from a technical point of view, you will indirectly take into account fundamental information as well. We also believe that trading should be simple, and indeed trading is simple, but you need to know what to look for. And one mission of today's session, of course, is to share with you what we are looking for, which criteria we are using to find the stocks which we believe have interesting swing trading setups. And once again, guys, please make this session your own. If you have any questions, please put your questions into the Q&A box, the more the merrier, and we'll be happy to address your questions as we proceed through this presentation. Just a quick reminder that trading does contain risk and therefore is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which is money that you actually can afford to lose. When it comes to hypothetical performance or backtest performance or anything really based on historical data, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trade ideas and strategies discussed in this webinar should not be construed as trade advice. These are for educational purposes only. All right. Now, before we get to the market, a few housekeeping items. First off, an announcement. On Wednesday, this Wednesday, October 29, we will be hosting our next Tech Talk. It's called The Missing Piece, and we're going to reveal a brand new tool in this Tech Talk. So you're all invited. Attendance is complete, or registration is completely free. Simply go to tradingindicators.com/tech. And Niklas, please paste this into the chat box. So our next Tech Talk will take place this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, which is midnight Germany time for all the Germans around you. But of course, this Tech Talk will be recorded and posted on our YouTube page shortly afterwards. Also, if you have not checked out our bootcamp about the Liquidity View dashboard yet, it is available via this link here, tradingindicators.com/bootcamp. And in this recording, you will find out all the different features and how to use them of the dashboard. Why is this important? Because in these sessions on the weekend, we can only really cover a few of them, the ones that we use, very often, but there's so much more on the dashboard. So if you want to know what else is included, go to tradingindicators.com/bootcamp. Also, we have a Discord channel, which is gaining traction, which is very nice, at tradingindicators.com/discord. In there, we post trade ideas, new setups. Our community is engaging there as well. You can ask questions. So please check it out at tradingindicators.com/discord. And two more things. We do have an ebook you can download at tradingindicators.com/power-of-3. In this ebook, we detail the three main setups that we typically scan for in these scanning sessions a bit further. So if you're interested in this, check it out. And lastly, if you have any questions about, I shouldn't say question, any feedback regarding the dashboard, please don't be shy. The more feedback we get, the better it is, because this is our inspiration. This is what drives the further development of our dashboard. So please put your suggestions into the Q&A box and or perhaps send those to us by email. All right, without further ado, let's get started with the dashboard. We're going to start with our market review. So what has happened in the market? Well, it's been interesting to say the least. I'm going to start with the SPY. Well, the SPY perhaps maybe is the least interesting symbol because here, yes, it's business as usual, as you can see it here. Another all-time high in the SPY. Oh boy, it's been grinding higher ever since we had the tariff discussion back in, when was it, in February or back in March, April. It's been just one direction. Look at this V-shaped correction. It didn't stop here when the V was completed. Now it continued higher. Pretty much every week or every second week, a new all-time high in the SPY, and this has not changed. Look where prices are right now. We gapped higher on Friday. We are still very far away from our averages. Prices are extended. Prices are very expensive. And of course, at these price levels, there's always a chance of a pullback. And how this can work out, we're going to see when we look at gold in just a bit. So prices are expensive here. Look at Trend Radar, all leveled green, meaning we are extended. So getting into the SPY at these price levels, I personally would not do it. I will patiently wait for a candle like this one here a couple of Fridays ago. A pullback was a 1, 2, 3, a level 3 pullback. This is something where I get interested. And look how fast this pullback was bought up. And today or yesterday, with the close of yesterday's market, we can see a new all-time high has been made in the SPY. All right, so that was the SPY. What about the QQQ? Well, you may guess it, because the SPY and the Qs, they're often very correlated. Also, the Qs made a new all-time high on Friday. The gap up, and as you can see this gap here, this is an up gap, and just be aware of this, that these gaps oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes these gaps get filled. And Yeah, and of course, if this gap were to fill, prices would need to come down towards this price level. So that may be a bit of a pullback in the making in the next couple of days. We'll see if this happens. But getting long at these price levels, once again, it's very similar to the SPY. I personally find it a bit risky because it is expensive. Prices are extended at these price levels. All right, so let's check out, what about gold? GLD, the gold ETF, and this is where things got interesting last week. Actually, very excited about this one. For the first time in a really, really long time, the first time since, I don't know, I guess since August, maybe even before, we saw something of a sizable pullback, a level 2 pullback in gold on Monday. You can see it here. We gapped down on Monday and prices continue to falter to the downside a bit further on Tuesday as well. And that, I think things are stabilizing right now. But it's a level 2 pullback, the first little red patch in a really long time in gold. And I took advantage of this scenario and I engaged into a long play in gold on Monday afternoon. And in fact, what I did, because that's old news now, but what I did on Monday, I sold some puts. GLD puts in the expectation that price will stabilize and potentially buy up this gap, this down gap here, and price will continue to grind further upwards. There was also another reason why I decided to, sell puts instead of perhaps buying options, buying calls, or perhaps buying outright, because I noticed when I looked at my Think or Swim, this is one of the platforms we consult every once in a while. Look what happened on Monday. You can see it here. This is the gold price on top, and below here we have the implied volatility for contracts about 1 month out, at the money contracts about 1 month out in the GLD. And look how it spiked up on Monday. So implied volatility was very high on that day, unusually high. The average is around here, this dashed line. You can see it. We were all the way up here. So prices were expensive. So option prices were expensive because the vola spiked up. And of course, if you want to buy options, this is not what you want to see. As an option buyer, you want to buy when vola, the volatility, is below the average, what prices are making the option contracts a bit cheaper. But on Monday, things were expensive. So I decided I will be, I'm selling puts for that reason, because even if GLD stays within the vicinity of the current price, these puts will lose on value because this vola, this implied volatility, is going to go down, making the options less expensive. This is what we want when we sell options. We want to sell high and buy back low. All right. So that was happened on GLD, and there was a very similar picture in silver, SLV. If you look at silver, silver has been on a tear since September or even before. Look at this parabolic move to the upside ever since we broke above the resistance level on September 2nd. What a parabolic move, all the way up to almost 50. And then on Monday, also here, the correction to the downside. Here, even a level 3 pullback in silver. And what I did exactly the same thing. I also sold some silver silver puts on that Monday, and things are stabilizing. If you quickly look at the volatility of SLV, the implied volatility, you can see how high it was around these levels here on Monday. It already came down by quite a bit. And even though price levels are pretty much where I sold with the underlying, these contracts have lost value because the volatility went down and also some time eroded at the same time. That's exactly what you want to see when you sell options, because you want to sell high and buy back low. All right. Okay, so that was silver, but what about what did we cover? What about oil? Oops, there we go. Okay, let's look at the United States Oil Fund, USO. What's going with oil? Well, here it's really business as usual because oil is just being sideways. You can see it here. It's been just moving slowly within the sideways channel. We can see oil has been alternating between these two extremes here, all the way around at 683 up here and 60 around here. Prices just alternate up and down, up and down, up and down. And lately, the alteration has been even smaller. Very small swings in oil. I thought perhaps on last week we're going to go all the way down to the 60s. Doesn't look like it. I went up again. Now prices are around 73. To me, oil only becomes interesting once we get to either extreme, either up here at 83, potentially something we can short, or down here at 60, perhaps we can look at long positions, a bounce off this key support level. But right now, it's rather uninteresting. What about Bitcoin? BTC, let's have a look. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is hanging on for dear life. HODL, as the the Twitter community or the youth would say. It's at this key support level at around 106, 107, 108. This level, I mentioned this before, better hold up, because if it doesn't, we may see a meltdown in Bitcoin. If it doesn't hold, right now it's holding. If it doesn't hold, all the way down to 73, 74,000. It's holding right now, but we'll see, because this level has been tested a few times down here, here again, and then once again a couple of days later. And I always say it, the more often you test the level, in my view, of course, there's no guarantees, the weaker it will get. So we'll see if it holds on for another test if we come down a bit further. Right now, it doesn't look like we're going to be testing this level anytime soon, because prices have been going up a bit further this morning. Of course, Bitcoin trades 24/7 also on the weekend. We can see prices now being at 111,000. So about $3,000 away from this key support level. All right, so that was the market overview, but now let's have a look at some of these setups that we discussed last week.
Daniel.
Yes, hi, Nicholas.
Hey, how are you? Good morning.
Good.
Can I cut you off for a second? We have a question here from Kurt. He wants to know, is the ebook only in English or is it also in German?
Yeah, it's in English right now. We're working on a translation. It's just yeah, not done yet.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so Kurt, the link is in the chat. I posted it again.
Perfect. Okay, that's it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks, Nicholas. Okay, so let's see which picks we had last week. And if you've taken some of these, I think you probably were quite happy with the quality of what we found here. For example, let me start with Comico Corporation. This was our trade of the week, which we posted in our newsletter on Monday, and look how this one worked out beautifully. Comica, of course, a Canadian uranium producer, one of the biggest uranium producers in the world. Prices came down to this former resistance level. You can see we broke above this resistance level back here in the beginning of September. We went up, came down to it, went up again, gapped a little bit, came down to it, and we called it here at this price level. Perhaps Comico could be an interesting candidate for a long bounce off this former resistance level. And look how this one worked out. A beautiful bounce off this level. It came down almost to the T. So this one worked out beautifully. All right. So that was Comico. Cintas Corporation, also a bounce here, but in this case, we did not bounce off former resistance. We actually bounced off support. You can see this little red line here. It came down all the way to this red line. Nice bounce off it. And then at the end of the week, a bit of a retracement to it. And if prices come down back to this level, perhaps another opportunity to enter into a long bounce trade of Cintas Corporation. So this one also, the setup worked out nicely. A beautiful bounce up this level, and there's definitely some profit potential in there. Would have been. What else? Hilton. Hilton probably was the symbol where we were completely spot on. Look at this. Beautiful. Hilton came off this support level. It even had liquidity captures at support down here. You can see this little dashed box. Came down to support, bounced off support all the way up. And where did it stop? At this resistance level. So this was, an example where technical analysis, which focuses on these key levels, we call these the liquidity levels, support and resistance, and an increase of volume and all these things. This is what technical analysis focuses about. And I know in some cases or many cases it works out beautifully, as we see in here with Hilton. Now we bounced off this key support, this key resistance level up here, and we're down back in the middle, in between resistance and support. And if prices should prices come down once again to this support level, maybe another opportunity to go long Hilton. All right. What else do we have? KSBSE. This, also a nice bounce trade. So in general, I believe most of these setups, either they were pretty much unchanged, like Aflac. This is a setup where we're still there where we left out last week. A bit of a bounce, but then we came back down to this level. So no harm, no foul here. Or for some setups, we're still waiting. Like USAR, the USA Rare Earth Corporation or Incorporation. We can see it here. actually have a friend who um, jumped into this trade all the way up here. Of course, he's not very happy right now. This symbol flew up after the zone break. You can see it here. It flew up. It had a little gap here too. This gap flew up all the way to 40. But this is our, and then, entering at these high price levels is oftentimes not a good idea. That's why I'm warning. Going long SPY right now, maybe not the best idea. Going long QQQ, maybe not the best idea because at these extended levels, look how far we are away from our averages. Sometimes it's very risky because the chances of a pullback, especially after a sharp move upwards, these are fairly big. And I believe what we're going to see here next week with this symbol is we're going to close this gap. I can see this up gap here. It hasn't been completely closed yet. We're almost there. If we come down a little bit further, we're going to close it. We may come down all the way down to this former resistance level. And if we do, this could be a really nice long opportunity, USA rare earth. All right. So overall, quite quite a nice quite nice results for our picks last week. But of course, this was last week, and I don't want to, delve into the past. I want to, look to the future. I want to see which symbols have become interesting this week. So let's do this. Let's start our scanning process and look for the symbols which, are become interesting right now. So, but Nicholas, before we do, are there any questions right now before I start with the
Whoops, Daniel.
thought?
Yeah, there's a couple questions, so can we go through them here? We have one, Kimi or Kim wants to know, do you have options indicators?
Well, we have a scan criteria we call this optionable, this one here, and we also have a volatility indicator, which gives you basically information whether a stock is optionable. You can see it here. When there's a check mark like this, it's optionable. If not, then the options chain is either very illiquid or there's no options chain at all. We also have volatility here, which you can use to gauge whether how high volatility right now is, which is an indication of how expensive option contracts right now may be.
And the
And
next
there's some other information too, like earnings reports, which can also play a factor when you trade options.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And then a question from Masa here. Can you help us understand how to analyze the several support levels? So a lot of the stocks, there's usually several support levels or several resistance levels. How do you interpret that?
Yeah, that's very normal. So every stock has multiple of these levels, and what it's important to you right now is the ones that are closest to price right now. So that's what we're focusing on. In fact, these are the ones which are highlighted a bit extra. You can see this little big box on the right-hand side. These are the ones closest to price. So this resistance level here is the closest resistance level to current price right now, and this red one here is the closest support level with respect to current price. So these are the most important ones, but it doesn't hurt to see what else is out there, which will help you to gauge, okay, if I lose this level, maybe how much further will I come down and so forth. So it's normal to have these levels, but once again, the ones closest to price are most important.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, and then two more questions.
Yeah.
Lenny wants to know, is GLD or other ETFs as volatile as GLD? There are others that behave differently, no?
Possibly, yeah. So I typically use GLD when I look at gold. I don't think it's particularly volatile. If you look at the it used to be very well behaved and just in one direction. You can see it here. Very implied volatility was very low below its average. It just spiked up lately with this big pullback. But overall, I think GLD is not the most volatile one.
Thank you. And do you have an alternative for USO?
No, this is actually more a question to if you I know this is a question for German clients who cannot trade USO directly. You can do it with options or futures, but you cannot trade the USO outright. Maybe reach out to CapTrader. I'm not too familiar with this because to us here in Canada, this limitation does not apply. We can trade the USO.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think we had this question last week as well, and somebody suggested something. And then the last question, Daniel, do you have lifetime access to all your indicators? Is there an offer for that to get lifetime access?
For most of our indicators, we do have lifetime access. We don't have it for the dashboard because we have running costs to keep this up and running. But for most of our indicators, we do have lifetime access. And if you send me an email afterwards, which indicators you are interested in, I can definitely I'll let you know how this would work. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And that's it, Daniel. We can cover the next questions later.
Okay, perfect. All right. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's look at the setups which have become interesting this week. And what we're going to do is we're going to focus on one setup at a time. We're going to go through 3 different setups today. Based on what we find, we're going to create a hot list. And at the end of this presentation, we're going to go through this hot list and then analyze these setups a bit more closely. Sounds good? Let's get into it. And the first setup we're going to be looking for today is a setup which we always look at because it's so reliable. It's one of my favorite setups. It is a setup where the stock is trending in the first place. That's one of the preconditions. We need to have a trending stock. So either up or down, we focus on uptrends. Some other people may be focusing on short trends, but I like to stay with the uptrends because on average, more stocks tend to go up more than they go down. So we want to have a long-term uptrend. That's condition number one. But of course, within this trend, there are good moments to enter into a trend trade and bad ones. A bad one, for example, would be, and of course, hindsight is 2020, would be all the way up here, right before a pullback happens. I don't want this. I actually want to enter when a pullback has happened and then anticipate that prices will continue the overarching uptrend. So I want to wait until these pullbacks, the declines in prices within the uptrend are happening. And these are flagged to us by our trend radar indicator, but this little red patch here. I mentioned the indicator before when we looked at gold and silver. Silver, for example, right now is in a level 3 pullback. That's an interesting opportunity to potentially enter into a long trend. All right, so long uptrend, healthy pullback, and ideally, as criteria number 3, we want this pullback, this decline in price, to coincide with a key support level. And this red level here, where prices came to a technical level, because that will increase the chances even further that we may bounce off this level to higher price levels instead of breaking the level. So how can we scan for this? Well, I'm going to go over to the dashboard. I'm going to go back to our full scanner, which currently scans through 5,732 stocks. Okay, so let's see which ones of these stocks qualify for the criteria I just mentioned. And criteria number 1 was was trend. We want the stock to be in an uptrend. So for this, our MA rush indicator comes in. If you pick an example here, like AACG, for example. Now, just 1 second. You can see this indicator prints these labels on the chart, like these bullish labels, and if we're coming down from a downtrend, these bearish labels onto the chart. Let me just find it here. Where did this one come from? There we go. These bearish and bullish labels. You can see it here onto the chart. Okay. This is what the indicator does. And depending on what the last label on the chart was, whether it was bearish or in this case bullish, this determines the current trend direction. So in this case, the last label is bullish. That's the current trend direction. And we can scan for these stocks. We can filter for these stocks. We can ask our scanner, hey, scanner, show me all the stocks which are currently bullish. By going to MA Rush here, this column, and select bullish. I do this, and in the blink of an eye, you can see that off from our 5,732 stocks, currently 3,086 are bullish. All right, that's criteria number 1. It's still too many. We couldn't go to all these stocks manually, way too many. So let's add another criteria to it. Pullback. You want to see stocks which are currently in a pullback as per trend radar. We have this column here called pullback. And my favorite pullback is a level 4 pullback. It's a deep pullback. Why do I like it? Because it was a significant pullback. Prices are the cheapest at this point. So let's select those. I'm going to go to pullback here, level 4 bullish pullback. We're down to 258. Wow. Let's check an example. Aflac. We had this just recently. We had it yesterday. Oh, not yesterday. We had it last week in our scanning session. You can see it here. Make this a bit bigger. Yeah, Aflac right now is in a 1, 2, 3, 4 level pullback. Yeah, and also, in fact, it was in this level pullback also last week. Nothing has changed. We said this before in Aflac. I still like this setup for a long bounce. All right, that's good. Now, the next criteria would be we want this pullback to coincide with a key support level. How can we find this? Well, we can go to our Liquidity IQ setup column here and select long bounce. Long bounce means we are bouncing off a key support level. So I select it. Now we're down to 16 stocks. And what I then do at the very end, I sort by trend duration. And the first one, for example, that comes up here, I'm going to show you later on how you can make these criteria a little bit less stringent, is this one here, Doc V, German stock, I believe. Oh, not the nicest setup. I would not potentially not trade this because here support and resistance are too close together. Meaning this, even if we bounce at this level, there might not be that much room to it. But in principle, even though I would not trade this particular stock, all our criteria are fulfilled. We are in an uptrend, clearly. We are near support, and we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 level pullback as per our trend radar indicator. But of course, even if all these criteria are satisfied, there's a bit of discretion which you should always use. In this case, my discretionary call would be, well, we are too close to the resistance level up top. There's not much room in this trade. I'll stay away. All right. So this one does not look too interesting. Then we have Tron USD. Okay, let's check this one out. That's a cryptocurrency. Now we can scan through cryptos too. This one actually looks very interesting. Look at this. Beautiful. Oh, actually, we came all the way from there, but I wonder what happened on that day here. Well, nonetheless, this is an uptrend. You can see it here. Uptrend. We made highs here, not all-time highs. All-time highs were here, but we made a high point here. Then we retraced down once to this level here, then up again, and now down to this key support level with a liquidity capture at the very last candle. And if you remember, these liquidity capture events, these are candles which are approaching a key support level. They cannot penetrate it. You can see it was still in the vicinity, and these candles have abnormally high volume. And when this happens, oftentimes this can be a sign that, hey, something is happening. Somebody's stepping in, somebody's driving volume up, preventing price from coming further down, and instead price may bounce off this level. I'm just curious, what's happening to Tron right now? Let's look at the live market. Oh my goodness, yeah, we came down a little bit further. That's the live market. Maybe an even better opportunity to potentially enter. We're at 0.29 right now. Yeah, right at this level here, at the lower end. Yeah, interesting one. I know my crypto exposure is mainly to Bitcoin and Ethereum, but this could be a potentially, for a small speculative amount, potentially candidate for entering into a long trade in Tron, especially with this recent pullback. So we're going to add this to our watch list, no matter what. So I'm going to create this watch list now. All right, create. Oops, let me just quickly see, how did I call these watch lists? Okay, weekly swing trades. Okay, that was the name. So create. Oops. There we go. Oh boy. Well, reload. Sometimes, this dashboard is not 100% perfect. We are still fixing small little things here and there. Sometimes, the good old trick of reloading your page will solve a glitch. So if you ever, experience you cannot create a certain watch list, simply reload the dashboard and then it should work. So it's just gonna power up. It takes a couple of seconds, and now, now I'm gonna go to my watch list one more time. Okay, create. There we go. Weekly swing trades. Column. What's today's date? 2025, October 25. All right, create. And we're gonna add Tron to our watch list. There we go. You can see how many watch lists we are creating here. And the cool thing is that with all the subscribers off the dashboard, I'm sharing this watch list. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do it right now in the second. I go down here. I'm going to share this watch list with this special button, which I only have. And I'm going to unshare the one from September 20th. So we always only share the last 5 watch lists, not to clutter your workspace. All right. So that's an interesting one. Okay. Cantaloupe Inc., another setup which another stock that qualifies, and now I'm disqualifying this as well. Sometimes you use a bit of discretion. Not so interested. There's a huge gap here. Gaps oftentimes get filled. If this gap were to be filled, prices would need to come all the way down here. Not interested. Norwegian Cruise Line. All right. Okay, that's more interesting. Now let's have a look here. All right. A stock which has been in a steep uptrend for quite some time, even though, it's a bit wavy. So you can see it here, just like a good cruise line stock, I guess, should be. We made all-time highs in earlier this year. Then the huge decline here, I guess, also caused by the tariff war. We came all the way down to this key support level, a bunch of liquidity captures. Remember that one? Yeah, the sign that, hey, a bounce is likely, more likely than a break, and we came up. Now we're coming down to this intermediate support level. There's another level down here, but the nearest one is this one here with a liquidity capture on yesterday's candle. I think this could definitely be an interesting candidate for a potential long trade, a bounce off this support level. So I'm going to add this one as well to our list. Norwegian Cruise Lines. There we go. Oops. Second. All right. There we go. Perfect. And you can see there's more and more other stocks here as well. But sometimes, we are very strict with our criteria. Sometimes it's a good idea to loosen some of your criteria. And the criteria which I typically loosen of these three, of being bullish, of being near support, and of having a level 4 pullback, is indeed this pullback criteria. Oftentimes it's too strict. I exclude some interesting candidates. I'm going to take this away and let's see which other symbols we have. All right. So we have this one here, the German telecommunication. I discussed the symbol before in my previous workshop, which I had with Cap Trader, German broker, right before this one. You can see it here. It is at the support, or it's coming down to this key support level. But to me, it looks like to be in a descending triangle. You can see it here, the descending upper end of the triangle. And then at the lower side, we have this one here. This is a bearish pattern. I'm not too convinced that this level will hold, especially that we have this bearish formation right now, this bigger bearish formation. So I'm going to skip this one just because of this formation. Next one, Arthur J. Gallagher, a good old friend of ours. We've traded the symbol many times. In fact, it was on our radar also last week, where it came all the way down to the support level with a liquidity capture, and it bounced a little modest, tiny bounce, a couple of points up, and now on Thursday and Friday back down. I still think it's an interesting one to trade, especially with this gap here, this down gap, which might get tested. And if it does, prices would need to come up all the way up here to 297, 298. So I'm going to add Arthur J. Gallagher once again to our hot list for next week, because this setup is still very valid. Hawkins Inc. Hawkins is also interesting. I don't know if you remember, this was our trade of the day back in October when prices were at around 166. This was a nice bounce trade back then. All right. Look what happened since. This was what am I talking about? This was a couple of days ago. Yeah. On the 16th. Oh, sorry, I get confused. Yeah, I guess it was down here. Whatever it was, maybe it was a different symbol which I had in mind. But nonetheless, it is once again at this key support level. And yeah, I like it. It's definitely a steady uptrend, a level, technically not a clean level for a pullback as per trend radar, because for a pure level for a pullback, all the 4 lines need to be red. Here, the first one is green. Perhaps a sign that, hey, this correction towards the support level has now come to an end, and a resumption of the overarching long trend may continue. So I'm going to add this one as well to our list. All right, Hawkins Inc. CETAs we discussed. This was more interesting a couple of last week when we were right at this level. Now we're too far up. If we come down once again towards this level, maybe it will become interesting again. But right now we're too far away from this bounce level, from this support level. Waste management. Check this one out. All right. Okay, so also waste management. Yeah, here we can see it. The last candle, liquidity capture. We are right next to support, and we are on an uptrend, but we're correcting. You can see it here. This is a big uptrend. We hit all-time highs back here in June. Then a couple of swings down. Now we stopped at this support level with a liquidity capture. I think this also can be an interesting candidate for a long entry, anticipating a bounce of this level towards higher price levels. If we lose this level, You know, I probably would cut my losses around at around 208 or something, because if we do, I think we're going to go all the way down to 199, which is a big psychological number, maybe even a bit lower to this former support level. Or would cut it. But right now, we're still here. So I'm going to add this one also to our watch list. All right. There we go. We already discussed this German symbol here. Then we have Targa Resources, also a trade that we had previously. Let me actually see, when did we have Targa? I'm going to go to my trade notes here. Naked put. No, that was, what was this? 1 second. There we go. Yeah, we had Targa on. I guess I sold some puts there or something. On May 31st, when prices were at 157 down here in May, this was, I guess, at this level. Yeah, exactly here. And then we, since then it's been alternating, but it has bounced off quite nicely off the support level here a few times. And these were all good trades. And yeah, I believe I did sell some puts there. And of course, I bought them back a long time ago. Now, once again, we are at this level, and potentially Targa could be an interesting candidate. But what I don't like too much about this particular setup is that this level broke partially, at least previously. You can see prices came below this red line, now back up. To me, this weakens the level a little bit. It's not the cleanest setup, so I'm going to skip that one. And lastly, I'm going to skip this Australian symbol here. Let's look at Kinsale Capital Group. That is definitely interesting for the reason that, can see it here, is that we are right at this support level. Prices came down. We have a liquidity capture right here, and we are in a very clearly defined sideways channel. Let me just zoom out a little bit. You can see prices are definitely to the lower side, clearly bounded at this price level here. Yeah, and every time we came near there, prices bounced up, bounced up. So I'm going to draw this channel real quick onto the chart here and up top here. That's clearly defined. And I think once again, maybe this could be an interesting bounce trade here off this support level, especially with a liquidity capture on the last candle. And in fact, Kinsale, I believe, just go to my trade notes here, was on our radar in September. Yeah, at 419, right here at this level. Yeah, and it bounced off beautifully off this level. So perhaps now rinse and repeat, especially with this gap having this down gap right, oops, right here. You can see this down gap here. If this gap were to get filled or tested, prices would need to bounce off this level towards higher price levels. All right. And you can see how easy it is to just go through all these symbols. I can't go through all of them, but simply by, adjusting the criteria, you can find these interesting candidates. All right. Nicholas, any questions so far with regard to this setup?
Not with regard to this setup, Daniel.
All right. Okay. Perfect. Then we're going to keep. And Aubrey is saying Hawken was a trade of the week a couple of weeks ago with an entry at around 163. He got in at 162. Okay, let me just quickly go back to Hawkins because it interests me. Are you still in this trade, Aubrey? A couple of weeks? Yeah, I thought it was a couple of weeks ago. Let me just see. Okay, so still holding on to this one. Got it. I like it. It's definitely a very bullish symbol. There's no question about this. And I like the stability of this uptrend. Just one thing, there's earnings coming up next week. Aubrey. Are individual notes shared? No, not yet, Lanny. That's something we're working on, to share my individual trade notes, which I put here. That might be something coming up in the future. It's a bigger project. It's not as easy as it may sound to develop.
Daniel, can you set alerts
Yes.
in the dashboard?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And there's an alerts feature right here called Trade Alerts. How this works exactly and how it needs to be configured, check out the bootcamp. The link is in the chat. Okay, cool. I'll take a little bit of water. Been a lot of talking today already, as I had another webinar right before this one. All right, so let's move on to our next setup. I'm going to combine these two setups. The next one is our zone break setup. I always introduce the setup by saying, hey, in life, nothing lasts forever, unfortunately. At some point, every support level will be broken. Every resistance level will be broken. But if this happens, new opportunities are opening up for us because in this case, we can anticipate that price will continue in the breakout direction for quite some time. So here we had a short trade, anticipation could be, or short break, the price will continue in the short direction for quite some time. Or here, we have a long break. Price broke above this resistance level, and the anticipation could be, okay, price will continue in the breakup direction for quite some time. And oftentimes, this is an interesting trade to take. However, there's one caveat, because the market always tries to fake you out to some degree. So prices initially will go up, but then they will stop and pause and revert back to the broken level. Because the big market fake out, prices come down, in this case, down to the broken resistance level, which at this point, however, will act as support. As you know, support can become resistance, and resistance can become support when broken. And then this happens, this can be a great opportunity to potentially enter at this point into this long trade, because oftentimes it's a launch pad for prices really to come or go up higher from this point on. All right, so how can we find these setups? Well, quite easy. Once again, with our scanners, I'm going to clear out our scan criteria. You can see it here. And now I will enter into our criteria just one thing. Under Liquidity IQ setup, I will choose long break. This is our classic break setup. We're trading above a resistance level. And currently we have 670 stocks trading above resistance. Let's check out what are these stocks. So I'm going to start with FBOT, for example. Long break 22, it says here. Let's see where it is. Well, okay, once this loads, come on. Yeah, we broke above resistance 22 bars ago. Now we're all the way up here. These are tradable. These breakout events are tradable. By anticipating price will continue in the direction of the breakout. And of course, now we're much higher. Oh, here another one. This one. VanEck Robotics ETF. I bought a break above resistance 28 bars ago. Down here. You can see we came up, came down. Yes, zone break, retrace, and now up again. That's the classic pattern. But of course, here now prices are also once again too far up. We missed the train. The train has left the station. How can we find setups where the break happens right now? Well, it's easy. We simply sort by breakout duration, by this number next to it. By clicking on this column here, we sort from lowest to highest. And what comes up are stocks which currently broke out. For example, this one here, Invesco Industrials, a British stock, a British ETF, just broke above resistance. You can see it here. The break just happened on the very last bar. Potentially interesting candidate. Yeah. Don't be scared by this huge price here. These are denominated in pennies, not in dollars. So this would be still expensive, quite expensive, but not as expensive. It would be $643 pounds, I guess. I believe that's pennies. Let me quickly check. We have a currency indicator here on our dashboard. Yeah, it's pennies. GB, small p, that's pennies. Let me just hide this one again. We don't need it. Okay, so that's an interesting candidate for potentially a long break. Let me just see what is the situation here when we zoom out a little bit. It's a bit choppy, this one. But yeah, definitely a strong uptrend for quite some time. Look at this. Yeah, I think it's an interesting candidate for a potential long entry. I'm going to add this one as well to our list for the British clients among us. They have Howard Aerospace, HWM. Let's check it out. Breaking out too. Bullish for 1,244 trading days, breaking above resistance. Look at this. On the very last candle. It's an interesting candidate too. Now we're breaking above this key resistance level, all-time highs on Friday before prices pulled back a little bit. But also this could be an interesting long opportunity. Playing with the idea that this will continue in the long direction. Just one thing here, that we have earnings coming up on October 30th. That's Thursday. But nonetheless, we're going to add it to our list as well. All right. And perhaps one more, the M-Core group. Let's check it out. What's going on there? Yeah. Oh, gap above. I'm always a bit careful of these ones. I would not, I will skip this one for two reasons. First off, this is not the first break of this level. We broke above this level here and then here again and here again. It's really contested. And then this huge gap up. There's no earnings, surprisingly. I'm not sure what caused this level. This is an up gap oftentimes after such a big jump up, this gap may get tested. And for this, prices would need to come down towards this level here. So I'm going to skip this one. Good example of this was Oracle. Yeah, when Oracle gapped up almost like a month ago. Let's have a quick look. Oracle, let's see where they are right now. Yeah, prices came down quite a bit. Yeah. So we gapped up here, big gap up, and see prices came down, and a gap fill, which would be all the way down here, is still on the table. It's not impossible. Yeah, this is very common behavior. And in fact, there are some traders out there which actually short a stock once such a gap happens, or buy put options if they're affordable. Yeah, because they anticipate, hey, after such a big parabolic move, there is some sort of correction in the books afterwards. Okay, so one more setup, the zone break retrace setup. So we looked for the zone break, but now I want to look for setup for stocks which broke above resistance and then came down back to resistance. Zone break retrace. How can we find these? Well, very easily by simply selecting long break retrace in our liquidity IQ setup column, just like this. We only have 22 stocks right off the bat, just with the scan criteria. And then I like to sort by trend duration. And of course, only focus on, what is this one? I want to have a quick look at this weird Australian stock here. Maybe something. Wow, this one is bearish for a long time, huh? How is that possible? Let's quickly have a quick look, guys, just for my own sanity. It says here it's been bearish for 2001 trading days. But I think, oh, there must be something off of that. So I'm going to take a note of this. Nicholas, can you take a note of this stock? I think there's something off of the data for that one.
Yeah,
All right.
sure. That is
Thank you.
ASL.AX.
Yeah, so we're gonna select also bullish and MA rush to filter out from these weird stocks here. And now we have 20 stocks remaining. And the first one that comes in is Jacob Solutions. J. Okay, let's check it out. How does it look? Yeah, let's make this a bit bigger. Okay, so what do we see here? We broke above resistance here, actually down back here on October 3rd, came up a little bit, down to the broken resistance level, came up again, a little bit down again. Now we might be coming down a bit further here, but we're still too far away here. If anything, I want to wait until we come towards this price level here and then potentially enter into a long trade. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting company and a nice long uptrend for 438 trading days. So if we come down to this level, yeah, potentially this could be a long candidate. I'm going to add this one to our list. All right. And perhaps one more. The Gorman Rupp Company. All right, let's check it out. What's going on there? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, look. I mean, we're still too far away, but this is exactly what I'm looking for. And we could have picked this up a couple of weeks ago. Zone break here, September 19, came up. Then the faker of the market came down back or down to the broken resistance level, then up again, new higher high, and perhaps now down again. But also this one, I would definitely wait until we go to this level, not before. If we do, this could be an interesting long candidate as well. All right. Cool. You see how easy it is to find these trades at the dashboard. The beautiful thing is this can be done every single day after the market closes, because every single day new stocks will become interesting and new setups will come in. So I guarantee there's at least one interesting stock per trading day, which you may be able to action on when the market reopens the next trading day. So in our case, on Monday. All right. So let's see which were our pick. I'm going to go down to our watch list. Here we have it. We have 9 picks. Pretty good. And let's just quickly go through them to see which ones are the most interesting ones. So Arthur J. Gallagher. Yes, our classic. I like it. We have earnings coming up on next week as well. So who knows what's going to happen there. But I like it for a long trade. It's a long-term trending stock. If you look back, this stock has been a beast, a monster over the years. A couple of gaps here, or at least one gap which hasn't been filled yet. This down gap. So yeah, I like it. I'm going to add another trade note with today's timestamps. I'm going to go here and add how many trade notes we have for Arthur J. Gallagher. We've been trading this for a long, long time. Yeah, I'm going to add another one with today's timestamp. I'm going to add this chart to it. All right, close. Okay, Hawkins Inc. Sorry, this one. All right. Yeah, it's a nice one. We also have earnings. These are all of earnings coming up. So please be aware of this. If you were to trade this, make sure you uh, are aware of this, because first off, if you consider buying options for this one, I bet you they will be too expensive today or on Monday, because earnings are too close, and earnings can always shake the market, and this is already priced in right now in the options, guaranteed. Just be aware that option prices may be expensive because of the upcoming earnings, and of course, of options, you want to buy the options as cheap as possible. If you're investing into options, if you're buying options, then sell them higher. Buy them cheap, sell them higher. Right now, they might be already quite expensive. So even if we see a bit of a price move, your options contract value may actually go down, because after the earnings, the volatility will go down and option prices will go down at the same time. Just be aware of this. But nonetheless, it's an interesting content. I'm going to add it to our list. All right. Hawkins. And all right, this looks good. There we go. Next one, waste management, WM. I probably have seen these cars quite a bit. Earnings on Monday, oh boy. I mean, honestly, this is at your own risk. I'm not sure when they're coming out on Monday, but you can see this earnings symbol here. Something you can look up. Just be aware of it. Options. I mean, if they come out after the market closes, then just be aware of this. Maybe wait until these earnings are done and then potentially go into a long trade. But nonetheless, I'm going to add it just so we can see what will happen to this symbol. All right, so waste management. I'm going to add a trade note here as well. There we go. Perfect. All right, Invesco Industrial S&P. I guess that's just the S&P equivalent in the UK. If that was the case, then I would actually be careful of this. But even though the technical setup looks like a zone break, but if this mirrors just the S&P, I think the S&Ps are very extended right now, and I probably would stay away from this one because there is always a chance of a pullback in the S&P, especially at these high price levels. Howard Hornets Aerospace. Howmet Aerospace. Yeah, interesting one for a long break. I like it. Absolutely. So if prices come, maybe wait for a bit of more of a small correction towards this level. If we see it, this could be a great long entry into this. I'm going to add this one as well. New. Look at all these trade notes. We've definitely traded this before. This one we traded 123 back in April. What was that? Let me just quickly look at this one, just for the fun of it. April, yeah, here. Yep, down here. I guess we went to support. What a move it made since then. That was a great trade. Well, let's see if we can repeat this one. So once again, long, Howmet Aerospace. Okay, so let me add this one as well. The cool thing about these trade notes is not only you can type your trade notes to and annotate it even further, but whatever you draw on your chart, it will be kept on these images as well. All right, TRX. Let me just see what's the live market doing right now. Yeah. So that's similar price levels. I mean, at your own risk, I'm not gonna take it as is crypto is super speculative. You never know, that can be super volatile. But from a technical point of view, I mean, it is a valid technical setup, a zone break, a bounce off support within an uptrend, but at your own risk. Jacob Solutions, a few more. Yeah, here if you see the pullback, yeah, zone break retrace. If you get down to this level, I definitely would be interested in this one, but we're gonna wait for markets to come a bit closer. All right. Okay, and then we have the Gorman Rupp Company, also long break retrace. Same thing. If prices come down here, I'd be interested. Same picture here. And lastly, the Norwegian Cruise Lines. Where I said they had this wavy pattern. I think I'm going to also earnings coming up the week after. Yeah, wavy like a cruise ship boat in a fall storm. Yeah, I think I'm gonna skip this one. I like patterns. I like things that make sense for me with my eyes. I can see these waves going up and down, up, and this may be another down wave. I'll skip it just because of this. It's not the cleanest pattern, and also there's a big level down here. And if we lose this one, we may see a bigger drop. So I think there are more interesting setups out there than Norwegian Cruise Line. All right. Okay, so I think we do have quite a nice selection for next week, and now it's time to answer some questions. Niklas, Are there any questions?
Yeah, we got quite a few to get through. Okay,
Okay.
so let me just come up to the top here.
Just
Okay,
gonna drink some
so
water real quick too while you
um,
do that. Yeah.
okay, you can set alerts. We got that. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, Lenny says he notices sometimes there's a discrepancy between your stats and his after selecting MA Rush. I'm not sure which statistics you're speaking about, Lenny. Maybe the exact price of an MA Rush line.
Or maybe these numbers here, but maybe just reload the dashboard. These will change every day. And if you have your dashboard open for a couple of days in a row, they may go up, so just refresh your browser page.
Okay, perfect. And then we have some questions about liquidity captures and support. So everybody, I'm putting the link once again into the chat. It's our boot camp. All of these concepts are covered very well in depth. Liquidity captures, though, Keem, they do always happen at support or resistance. It just means there's a lot of volume at a level, near a level.
Mhm.
Okay. And then
And
Lenny,
just to show one quick example here, look how powerful these ones can be. And we came all the way up here to resistance, a bunch of liquidity captures, and a huge sharp drop. And we see this over and over again that these can be signs that hey, may see a reversal of this level. Yeah.
perfect. Okay, I was muted. And then Lenny wants to know why do you think, Daniel, the market tries to fake you out? For example, price breaks out. Why does it, we often say you get faked out or the market's going
Yeah.
to fake out or retrace. Why do you think that happens?
I personally think it's because of all the traders out there, because they're doing group dynamics. Everybody's trading the same thing. So, I mean, it's a theory, but let's say you're in this trade here, you break above resistance, prices go up. I think it's very natural in many people's mentalities and trading personalities to book some profits to sell. And as a result of this, prices will go down again, and some other people get interested again. So I think it's all about how you, people trade, institutions trade where they book profits, and if you want to book profit, you need to sell something, uh, and all these things. So I think it's mainly driven by this. I don't think there's anybody vicious behind this. It's just based on group dynamics.
And
Ma-
okay, thank
yeah.
you, Daniel. And then here, how can you select more than two scanners from the list of scanners in the alerts section and have it remember those two scanners for the next day when the
Yeah.
alerts run?
Oh, that's quite easy, and the bootcamp will cover this. But what you can do is what you need to do is let's say that's something you're interested in. Maybe you want to see bullish stocks, which coming off key support, and let's maybe a level 3 pullback. Whatever that could be. Well, maybe it's a level 4 pullback. This could be my scanner, 16 stocks here right now. What you can do then now, you can create a dynamic watch list based on this. Basically, you're saving these scan criteria within what we call a dynamic watch list. Maybe long bounce stocks or symbols, whatever you may call it, you create it. I had it already because I think I discussed this before. Symbols like this, you create it, and then in your alerts, go to trade alerts, and down here, you just select multiple of these dynamic watch lists. So I just had long bone symbols and maybe high value stocks, and this one you can select as many as you want. You enable your alerts here, and you say close. It will save it. Next time you come back, it will be there. And if it's not, if it disappears, maybe send me a quick note. There might be a bug, but typically this is how it works, and it works nicely.
Thanks, Daniel. Yes, Andreas, watch the boot camp. It does cover all the features.
Yeah.
And Lenny, the reason why Lenny meant he has different results for the amount of symbols showing and filtered, it's just because you probably don't have the exact same filters Daniel's set up. So if you start from scratch, you're going to end up with the exact same amount of symbols. Okay. Ballard Power. And Daniel, now we have symbol requests.
Yeah.
Oh, and Lenny wants to know, as we go, the first symbol, Daniel, is going to be TPH. It's from Bappa.
Hmm.
And Lenny wants to know, is there a way to trade into earnings? Do you always have to wait until after earnings? Because he
Oh,
sees there's a lot of big pops
you
stuff.
definitely can. Depends on I just said this because be aware that earnings are coming up. Because sometimes it's not so easy to, especially with options, to know whether options are currently expensive or cheap. Just see the price there, but knowing whether it's a good price or not, that's not so easy to know. But I'm just warning, if you go into earnings, they're probably expensive. And right after earnings, you may have something called the volatility crush, because all the implied priced in volatility before earnings, because price may jump a lot with the earnings. That's priced into the options. Then, after the earnings, that volatility is going to go down, meaning the option prices are going to go down. And if you're an option buyer, that's not a good thing because you're going to lose on value. So I just said this to be aware that earnings are coming up, so you don't accidentally buy options when they're very expensive.
Great. Okay.
Okay, so 3-point homes. Yeah, let's see. We're bearish. These homemakers, huh? Let's have a look. Bearish, just in the middle, in between support and resistance in a magnet zone. Hard to trade. I mean, it looks more bearish to me. I'm not sure where exactly we're coming from here. Well, I guess this could be maybe. Well, I mean, this looks a bit more interesting now that I zoom back, and this is always something that you should do. Just give yourself a bit more context. See where we're coming from. What's the current market story? So we came all the way up down here from the swing point, made all-time highs, like here, and then we pulled back all the way. Just doing a quick FIB analysis here. Just give me a second. Hiding these ones just for a second. Where do we go down to? To 61.8. Yeah, I like it actually. That's a cool one. Pull back to the 61.8 retracement level. Okay. So from this point of view, this could just the beginning of another leg further up, and then I guess I would be somewhat more bullish on this stock. So yeah, it's interesting. What would have been more interesting down here when we were right at this level, but this looks okay for potentially another leg further up. All right.
Okay. The next symbol, Daniel, is going to be no, actually Ballard Power. Ballard. I'm not sure what the symbol is. There we are.
BLDP. Ballard Power. Okay, let's check it out.
While you're going there, Daniel, Masa wants to know, what do you think's more credible for market analysis, Barron's or the Motley Fool?
What?
These are two publications, I think, online. Barron's is like I'm pretty
Oh,
sure it's an article. We don't read those, Masa. We don't really follow
yeah.
financial news for market
You,
analysis. We use charts.
yeah, we use charts, Masa, and we don't discriminate. And these magazines probably will analyze the symbols from a more fundamental point of view, which does have merit, but mainly for really longer term investments. If you look for swing trades, 1 to 20 weeks, and sometimes we're in and out of in like 1 or 2 weeks. These long-term fundamental news are not so important. Chart patterns, technical analysis, this is what typically drives these smaller scale swings for swing trading. Yeah, that's why we do chart analysis. Yeah, man, this one, belt powered system, it's not my cup of tea. It's huge downtrend here. We did go bullish here. Oh boy. Nah, I would not touch this symbol. Hard to, I mean, even though we went bullish here, I wouldn't trust it. I think this looks way too bearish for me. Yeah. All right.
Okay. And sorry, Daniel, I keep getting muted. And Lenny, Daniel, so are there any of these filters that you have activated but are not visible, perhaps? Like, do you have any
No,
filters that
I
aren't
don't think
visible?
so.
Because Lenny says
You
he
can
follows what you're
you can
doing, but
always check here and Lenny, please check the boot camp because it's all explained there how we set it exactly. But if let's say there was, okay, then we're gonna move on. Let's say there is like a filter anyway, maybe for the US dollar. I only want to see stocks trade in USD as this filter here, and then for some reason I decide to hide this column. So now this column doesn't show anymore, but this filter is still active. We're still filtering down from our 5,700 stocks down to 4,800 because we have this US dollar filter. You can always tell by seeing, okay, we do have this yellow button here. And if you expand this column here, you see this little filter icon next to currency. So meaning even though this column is not shown, there's a filter on it. The other thing, Lenny, is sometimes, again, Bootcamp is probably the best resource. Sometimes you have like a search result on here. Maybe you have like a term in here, maybe in the search up there, you have something like, maybe you're searching for some kind of, term here. And you forget about this. This actually will not give you a little yellow button. Maybe I should put one here. So now we only have 177 stocks because we have the search pattern here. And this will, of course, reduce the number of stocks significantly. So if I go to long bounds here, it's only a handful of stocks in there.
thanks,
Otherwise, then
Daniel.
he sent me an email afterwards and we'll take it from there. Okay.
Perfect. And Daniel, the last symbol request here is LMT to wrap it up. LMT.
LMT. All right. What is LMT? See, now I did the same thing. Oh, because we have this filter on. So I remove the filter with LMT. Yeah, Lockheed Martin Corporation. Short bounce. All right. So we went bullish, but we're now at this resistance level, but we're coming from the top. Yeah, let me just have a quick look here. What do we see? Um, yeah, it's a bit swingy. No clear pattern in my view, at least. I mean, if we hold this retracement to this former resistance level, you can see we're right at this green box here. Maybe there might be another swing further up. Again, it's not really my cup of tea, but if we do, I think the next target, there's plenty of room to the upside, would be at 618, 619. If we lose it, it may come down all the way down to 416 here. We're kind of in the middle of these extremes. Of course, down here would have been really interesting with this gap here, which got filled over time. Look at this gap here. Now we're kind of here, and we have to see if this resistance level, which is now acting as support, is holding.
Thanks, Daniel.
Okay.
Okay, and great. Yeah, please send us an email. Oh, Lenny says, please don't end the session without talking about the fib use. Okay.
But
Um,
only these things, I think, are just, I mean, 61.8 retracement is the current fib level. Why that is, that's beyond me. That's just classic technical analysis. So these fib levels, I guess it's from experience in a trend. Deep pullbacks. I'm not talking like the shell like pullbacks that I typically trade, which these level 3 pullbacks. Deeper pullbacks, they tend to go to these more extreme levels where you lose more than 50% or even 61.8% of your gain since the last swing. So these are deeper pullbacks. Also tradable. I just drew this manually here. We don't have a scan right now, but I was just contextualizing that particular symbol because we did have this bigger upswing. I forgot what it was. And then a deep correction, which even made trend Emmy Rush go bearish. But once you put this into context, hey, this could just be in this big macro context. And this brings out of the realm of swing trades in this case. Maybe from that point of view, it could be an interesting idea. All right, perfect. With this, well, I guess I thank everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see what the next week brings. I'm very curious how we're going to continue with gold and silver. This are the ones I'm personally invested in. I told you I sold puts for both of these contracts. Let's see if how this pans out. And otherwise, have a great weekend and see you all. Actually, real quick. Actually, don't leave yet. Sorry, forgot about this. A couple of things. See you all at our tech talk on Wednesday, 6 p.m. The missing piece. We're gonna show you a brand new indicator which we just completed. It's awesome. We're gonna hopefully you're gonna really like it at tradingindicators.com/tech. And if you don't have access to our dashboard yet, simply go to tradingindicators.com/view to sign up for a full week trial of our dashboard. If you want to stay along, we have interesting monthly and yearly options. All right. Perfect. So with this, I wish you all a nice weekend. Take some time to relax. Thanks again for taking time out of your Saturday, which we don't take for granted for sure. So I hopefully we made it worth your while and see you all on Tuesday for our lunch and learn and on Wednesday for our tech talk, which we are very excited about. Until then, guys, trade safe. Bye-bye.